can celebrate one day to another. Tell your mama you love her. Life, sweet life from there. Look how we blessed. We walk so hard and Father delay. Free up nothing on we chest. Yes, we walking, yeah. We walking, yeah. We chipping, yeah. We chipping, yeah, yeah, yeah. We loving, yeah. We loving, yeah. We living, yeah. We living, yeah, yeah, yeah. Life is short, my friend. Father delay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to start taking your seats. We are about to begin the second segment of the unveiling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to begin. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for making it out this evening. And I want to say thanks again to the Garys. And just by way of mention, Marcel Gary was the ambassador to China. And Jenny Gary, they received one of the $50 notes this evening. And I see a Kirani fan. Thank you. Our journey is one worth celebrating. It is a journey that has tested the resolve of our people. A journey filled with highs and lows, successes and disappointments. Most of all, it is a journey that is filled with a resilient spirit, a spirit of determination, a Grenadian spirit. Whether it is resisting colonial rule and forging our path to independence, whether it is building an international airport against all odds, or rebuilding a society after the fall of Hurricane Ivan, we have shown that we as a people always move forward. As we move forward into the next 50 years, we must ask ourselves, what does the future of this country look like? Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell.
So after my quick little sprint, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Deacon Mitchell. And I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine with me Vision 75. Close your eyes.
Open your eyes to a new Grenada, one that is poised to take off. A Grenada at the tip of the spear that leads into the future. Our vision for Grenada is holistic, and our actions are intended to be intentional and planned. People are the heartbeat of this nation. Our society must allow them to aspire and advance. We shall place people at the center of Vision 75 by prioritizing 5 main pillars of development that will create a prosperous and equitable society and a vibrant economy.
Health. Any vision for the future must start with our people, a healthy people. We intend to thrust the health sector to the forefront as an integral part of holistic development. The equation is quite simple. Healthy citizens equals productive citizens, and productive citizens equals more economic growth. Health is more than hospitals and clinics, and that is why we intend to create a medical ecosystem. Nestled on the border of St. George and the Virgin Parish of St. David, land has been allocated for the development of a medical campus. This campus will integrate a teaching hospital equipped with cutting-edge technology, specialist medical clinics, pharmacies, and modern retirement homes, but it is beyond staying healthy. We want to use health as the catalyst for creating a healthy economy. We intend to link healthcare with tourism and agriculture, taking advantage of our therapeutic environment and positioning our island as not only a place that offers top-notch care and medical procedures, but as a rejuvenation destination and a producer of bespoke medical products with our herbs and spices.
Energy. Imagine a Grenada whose energy sector is aptly diversified to take full advantage of our elements, turning our seasons of sunshine, coastal breeze, and geothermal energy into electricity to propel our homes and economy. Our vision is practical. Reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. This goes beyond the illustrious dream of saving the planet. It's more personal. We want to make life easier for our citizens. A diversified energy sector allows our people to do more. And when our people do, Grenada grows. Our aim by 2035 is to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels by 40%. The effects of this transition will be felt by every Grenadian. Imagine hotels operating with reduced electricity costs, businesses, schools, hospitals. The spill-off effects are immeasurable. Imagine our burgeoning agro-processing industry finally able to thrive. Imagine regular Grenadians with more disposable income, all because of lower electricity costs.
Agriculture. A nation must be able to feed itself. Economic development is important, but it is impossible without food security. Our vision includes the revival of our agricultural sector. Imagine a Grenada able to support its citizens with local produce. Imagine a Grenada that imports less. A Grenada with our spices replanted and production restored to pre-Hurricane Ivan levels by 2035 and 2045, respectively. Imagine a Grenada where we end the exportation of raw nutmegs and cocoa, and we convert all nutmegs, maces, pericarps, and cocoa into processed and manufactured food, spices, condiments, and chocolates. Imagine a Grenada that meets the demand for fresh, locally produced chicken and end our dependence on imported chicken by 2040. A Grenada where our sons and daughters embrace careers as fisherfolks and agro-processors as their first choice occupations. In this vision, our citizens leverage these sectors to establish flourishing small and medium-sized businesses, while our tourism and healthcare industries create a substantial demand for their products.
Education. Imagine a Grenada where citizens are well-trained, professional, efficient, and conscious. A Grenada where people understand how to integrate and function with technology. A Grenada where citizens are eager to solve their own problems. This Grenada is not too far away. We want to empower our citizens through meaningful education. Our education system must produce the ideal Grenadian, Caribbean, and global citizen. Every citizen must have basic knowledge of civics and Grenadian history. Skills must be prioritized. As the world changes, so too must our citizens change and equip themselves to function in competitive markets. Technology will also be at the core of the learning experience. Digital literacy must be paramount as we step into the future.
Environment. Our development must not be at the expense of our environment. We must be the custodians of our pristine surroundings. We envision a Grenada where citizens have a deep appreciation and respect for the environment. Our culture and our behavior must adopt contempt for littering, polluting, and illegal sand mining. Envisage a Grenada where land use is maximized. Our island is small, and we need to be strategic in how we use it. Within the next 25 years, Grenada will be well zoned.
Society. Imagine a society that reflects our collective aspirations. Imagine a society with institutions that reflect a Grenadian reality and operate as citizen-centric entities. A citizenry with high and ever-elevating levels of consciousness and patriotism, and a mindset that supports national development. A citizenry that has shifted away from limitations towards possibilities and opportunities. A shift away from inaction and towards solutions. Vision 75 is not a dream. Vision 75 is a plan. A plan that requires the support of every citizen, both home and in the diaspora. Vision 75 is a process, one that may not be simple. But just as we navigated the last 50 years, we must create a Grenada at 75 that we can be proud of, that our children can inherit. Vision 75, a vision of the next journey that our people should take to create our future.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the journey. I hope you've enjoyed the dream. But this dream is a plan. And the master of ceremony said, the Prime Minister's vision. But is this really the Prime Minister's vision? Is this really the Prime Minister's words? This is not meant to be a presentation. This is meant to be a conversation. So gone are the days when the politician tells you what the society will be like. The days we need are when we decide what the society should be like. So I want to, just as I reintroduce myself, reintroduce you to the National Sustainable Development Plan 2035. Let me say that again. I want to reintroduce you to the National Sustainable Development Plan 2035. Now, that plan was a plan I met. That plan was a plan I did not have a single input into. That plan was a plan conceived under another administration. That plan has an address to the nation by Her Excellency Dame Cecile La Grenade. That plan has an address to the nation by the former Prime Minister and longest serving Prime Minister and longest serving Member of Parliament and current opposition leader. That plan was drafted by Grenadians from all walks of life who gave their input about this plan. This plan should have started in 2020. But what happened in 2020? What happened in 2020? Well, I thought perhaps you'd suffered from COVID and had died. You don't seem particularly thankful to be here. So COVID happened in 2020, 2021, into 2022. And what happened in 2022? What happened in 2022? New administration. So we're in 2024. So we've lost 3 years on the plan. So we got 13 years left. So the question then is, why Vision 75 and not 2035? I think the starting point is because most Grenadians actually don't seem to be aware of the National Sustainable Development Plan. So the start of this conversation is a conversation about a plan that already exists. And as Reverend Osbert James so provocatively put it yesterday in the ecumenical service. And for those of you who missed the service, this is a warning: when there's a church service, come to the church service, especially on Independence Day. You must appreciate that when there are politicians in the audience and a pastor has the mic, you will enjoy the sermon. So as Reverend James so provocatively put it, we don't need promises. We need a plan. We don't need promises that are reversed every 4 or 5 years, or in the periods of Grenada's past instability, sometimes every 2.5, every 3 years. We need a plan that we, the nation, agree upon and that we implement regardless of the persons who hold executive office. So this Prime Minister's commitment is this. This was not my plan. It was not our administration's plan, but it is a wonderful plan. It is perhaps not a perfect plan, but it is a plan. And since we are not perfect, I'm sure there'd be an opportunity to improve the plan. But there is no need to reinvent the wheel. There is no need to discard the plan because the plan was not started by this administration. So I want to point out that almost everything that was narrated here came from that plan. Let me repeat that. Almost everything that was narrated here came from that plan. They may make it sound nicer, they may make it sound sexier, but it came from that plan. So let's talk about healthcare. We all know the challenges of healthcare. We don't need to repeat them. But talking about the challenges is not a plan. Cursing the doctors and the nurses is not a plan. Cursing the orderlies and the security officers is not a plan. And certainly cursing the politicians and the Minister of Health ain't a plan. So how do we revolutionize the changes we need in healthcare? Well, before we talk about anybody else, let's talk about ourselves. Let's talk about ourselves. A healthy nation. A healthy nation. What's the challenges with our healthcare? Forget the hospital, forget the lack of beds, forget the ambulance. It is us. Our addictions to sugar, to salt, carbonated drinks, and the romanticized love affair with alcohol. The love affair with the television and the couch, the remote, the phone, and the tablet. So if we spend a little less time at the barber shop, a little less time at the hair salon, and a little more time jogging on the beach, and a little more time walking the road, climbing our mountains, visiting our waterfalls, we can start the process of becoming healthier. If we spend a little more time with our children, jogging with them when they are jogging, riding the bikes when they are riding, swimming when they are swimming, don't just go to Good Hope and bang up the galvanized when the children are swimming. You learn to swim too. So, if we consume less sugar, less salt, if we exercise some more, spend a little more family time doing wholesome activities, as in physical activities with our children, we are probably going to solve half of the nation's healthcare problems. So whether it's diabetes, hypertension, cardiac arrest, you know the barbecue stands along the side of the road? Vendors, I'm not taking anything away from you, but a doctor once told me that's cardiac arrest always waiting to happen. Barbecue stand after barbecue stand after barbecue stand, because you know why? It's the imported chicken. You don't know where it's coming from, how long it's been frozen. So we can talk about the link between healthcare and agriculture and the need to cut our importation of poultry. But the fact is, almost all, or let me rephrase that, a significant portion of Grenada's health challenges has nothing to do with the actual physical infrastructure in Grenada. It has to do with our lifestyles. So 50 years later, we have a healthcare crisis. To the diaspora who wants to return, they say to me, I want to come back, but the hospital, but the medical stations, but the clinics. But the diaspora, you have the same problem too. You like the sugar, you like the salt, and up there it comes in multiple portions that are significantly larger than what exists in Grenada. So we want you to lead by example too, by helping us address the diabetes crisis, the hypertension crisis, the cardiac arrest crisis. Simple things like our oral health. Look at the smiles of our children. Are they the Grenadian smiles that we want to put up? Or are they the Grenadian smiles that we hide? You don't actually need the dentist at 5, 6, or 7. You simply need good oral hygiene. That is not difficult to implement. That is not difficult to practice. So if we start with ourselves, by Vision 75, we could significantly address many of the primary healthcare concerns that this nation faces. The plan requires us to want to do it. The plan requires us to have the discipline to do it. The plan requires us to do it together, as a family, as a community, as a village. Now, when we do that, and we then have the medical village in Calavini, we could then say to the people who come to Grenada for exquisite medical treatment, whether it's the facelifts, the wellness, the medical marijuana, the psychedelics, the public research, the retirement homes, you have to first understand that we live healthy lives in Grenada, that we eat healthy, we exercise, we engage in family time, we take care of our environment. And when we do that, our Vision 75 becomes a reality. But we see healthcare not just as a personal obligation to ourselves. We see healthcare as one of the main pillars for transforming Grenada's economy. And so I'm sure the same way 40 years ago, people thought Charles Modica was a crazy man. And I'm sure everybody thought Uncle saw a UFO when he agreed to allow Charles Modica to sign that 2-page agreement that says he was going to establish a medical school in Grenada. But you know what? 40 years later, the UFO is in true blue. And it has flown to great heights. It has produced, perhaps pound for pound, more medical doctors on the eastern seaboard of North America than any institution. Hundreds of Grenadians, if not thousands of Grenadians, have benefited both in the medical field and in the arts. And it is one of the institutions, 40 years later, we are absolutely proud of. So proud that it made our commemorative $50 note. So when we dream today, and when we say we need a teaching hospital that caters to medical tourism, that has a state-of-the-art facility, that creates the ecosystem for a medical village, we need another UFO. We want that UFO to land on the stretch in Calavini. And 25 years later, we want someone to be able to say, all of us in this audience here had a little Uncle Gary in us when we all supported the plan to establish our medical village in Calavini. Medical agro-processing. Did you see that VX35 on the screen? Right, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel. Maybe nerve gas or something like that. But it is good nerve gas. It is nerve gas made of honey, Grenadian honey. straight out of Grenville Vale by a Grenadian scientist, a Grenadian woman scientist, using the same herbs that we probably just cut down as bush. Tested, researched, and I swear by it. So it's part of the reason why I think I generally don't get sick. So to our visiting dignitaries, we'd be happy to introduce you to a VX35. We invite you on Independence Day to visit the booths of all our agro-processors, because God has blessed us with an abundance of natural resources in our plants, in our herbs, that we have failed to exploit. We simply cannot rely on the traditional knowledge that our foreparents have passed down. We need the research and development. We need the investment in the research and development so that we can create our aromatherapy, our herbal and spice products, and scale them up to commercial processing. Is that so difficult to do? I don't think so. We have a perfect example sitting with us this evening. And maybe it's just the woman. Her Excellency Dame Cecile Lagrenade. I'm paraphrasing, but she has a PhD in food technology. De Lagrenade Industries was started by her parents and principally her mother, a retired nurse who went to North America, came back, and put into practice the knowledge she had. Today, De Lagrenade Industries is as representative of Grenada as the nutmeg is on our flag. The products have become as synonymous with Grenada as Kirani James is with Grenada. So can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Do we need more of it? Yes, we need more of it. Should we have a plan to make sure that we can support our small entrepreneurs, particularly our women entrepreneurs, who are leading in many of the agro-processing products that we have on island? Absolutely yes. So when someone comes to Grenada and we talk about tourism, they're not coming to get a burger that they get in New York City. They're not coming to get fries that they get in France. They are coming to experience what it means to live in Grenada. And for them to experience that, it means they need to experience our agro-processing products. So when we talk about education and research and academia, we need the same St. George's University, TAMCC, our high schools, the University of the West Indies, to understand that our greatest asset is in fact our people. And that the need for research and development, and for us to invest in research and development specific to our challenges, is of paramount importance. So I will link this to agriculture. The President of Ghana should be arriving to Grenada shortly. Our foreign minister has had to excuse himself to greet him. Ghana, together with the Ivory Coast, probably combined produces more cocoa, probably about 60% of the world's cocoa. I will dare say Grenada produces the finest cocoa. We produce, hands down, the finest nutmegs. But after 100 years, we still export our raw nutmegs. And it begs the question, does exporting our raw nutmegs actually create one single additional job in Grenada? The answer is no. So I said to the GCNA, if I was in your position, but I'm not, I would simply say, we are not exporting any raw nutmegs, period. And they said to me, well, okay, fine, how are we going to pay the farmers? I said, it's simple. You get the financing for 2 years, you pay the farmers, and you stockpile and buy all the nutmegs. You buy all the nutmegs, and you keep it in Grenada. And if you do that, you have the stock that allows you to then begin to manufacturing your nutmeg oil, your nutmeg fat, any product you need from nutmegs. But manufacturing requires stock and it requires volume. If you are selling the nutmegs raw, you will never be able to manufacture. And you're caught in a centuries-old vicious cycle where you take your wealth, the black gold as we call it, the pride of Grenada, nestled on our flag, and we hand it over to someone else to manufacture. Now, is that so difficult to implement? Is that such a challenge that we can't overcome or meet? A simple decision to say we will not export nutmeg in its raw form, period. It's not far-fetched. The president of Ghana began implementing that program with Ghana's cocoa. He talked about the fact that the chocolate industry was worth probably trillions of dollars, trillions. And with new and emerging markets, if it's one thing people with money have a taste for, it's chocolate. They may ban alcohol, they may ban tobacco, they are not going to ban chocolates. And what was Ghana and the Ivory Coast percentage of the $1 trillion business? A couple billions. Inconsequential. So similar for us, a smaller island, a tiny island. What's our percentage in the global nutmeg trade? Insignificant. We can't compete for volume, therefore we must compete for value added. It is not that difficult. We do not, in fact, have to wait 25 years to simply take decisions like this. By manufacturing processes applied to nutmeg and cocoa, we are going to, overnight, create jobs that simply did not exist before. You are going to incentivize farmers and incentivize the entire country to produce more nutmegs because you now have a domestic demand for the nutmegs. And it's not just the nutmegs, it's the mace, it's the pericarp. Her Excellency probably struggles to get the pericarp of the nutmeg or the guava or the gospo to make the marmalade. So it goes on and on and on. Nutmeg and cocoa are two obvious examples. But all of our spices, why do we export them in a raw form? Doing so does not add a single new job to the economy. Engaging in manufacturing almost overnight creates jobs, research and development, and all of the value-added chain that we need. But why have we not done that? What is holding us back? Why the timidity? Why the fear? Why the lack of courage? Is it because of a lack of political will? Is it because of a lack of national will? Is it because of a refusal for us to, in fact, say, you don't need to dress as I was dressed half an hour ago to have a conversation about how we move our country together forward? So, to GCNA or to GCA, it doesn't require the government for you to take a policy decision that says we will not export raw nutmegs. It takes your willpower to say you are going to do so, and a government that will support that, and a population that I'm sure, based on the claps I heard in the back, that will support such an initiative. Would we need some financing and support to do it? Absolutely. The tourism industry wasn't created on its own. Hotels have been subsidized. The airlines come to Grenada, they are subsidized. If you want to create industry, the government sometimes has to play a supportive role. The idea is that as a baby, you need some help so that you become a teenager and then an adult, and hopefully you're weaned off of the government help. But the fact is, food security, which is what agro-processing is about, is perhaps the most fundamental issue to any civilization. If we can't feed ourselves, we really don't need to talk about the rest. And the same applies to poultry and the poultry industry. We know our love for chicken. Unparalleled. I think only in Barbados they like chicken more than us. So again, there's a poultry policy in place. How do we ensure that as government and the poultry industry, including the industry that imports chicken, it's not meant to take away business from you, it's meant for you to get into the poultry industry that allows you to create more jobs, to keep the money in Grenada rather than sending it outside of Grenada. So how does the current poultry industry, which is largely import-driven, reorient itself to become domestically based and grown? Again, those are not far-fetched ideals. St. Lucia is doing it. Barbados has done it. So there's nothing wrong with copycatting. If it worked, we can surely follow suit. And I say those things because it is important for us to understand that all of this is in fact linked back to our health. Because to a large extent, we are eating ourselves to death. And it's not usually a quick and efficient death. It is usually a slow and painful one. And if we're honest, and we look around our country, you would sometimes wonder if we were in Afghanistan or Iraq, because we've got a lot of amputations. So yes, there are landmines, but those landmines are what we put, to a large extent, inside of us. So the need to ensure that our agro-processing, our food industry, and our agriculture are given the importance that is required, and that we act on initiatives that can in fact create Vision 75 is critical. You know, I reflected. I left high school in 1994. I was part of a class that actually taught, I will say this openly, my colleagues were very bright students. I felt lucky to be in the class with them. I asked how many of them this evening make their living from farming, fishing, or agro-processing. Only one. And if I'm a betting man, I'm going to bet that if most of the students of our elite secondary schools, you all know them, the brand name ones, you always fight for your children to go to after they pass common entrance. If you ask, after they've graduated, how many of them make their living from fishing, agriculture, or agro-processing, I bet you would find it's 1 in every 40. So what does that tell us? Despite all the talk about agro-processing, agriculture, and fishing, our education system has nothing to do with it. It does not encourage it, it does not support it, and it does not create persons who make a career out of it. And that's the reality. So speaking from personal experience, despite the fact that when I went to school, farming was the order of the day in the rural communities, it never ever crossed my mind, never, that I would be a farmer, a fisherman, forget agro-processing. And that is still the same in Grenada today. So our education system must dramatically alter this if we are going to attain a Vision 75. Let me repeat this. If our education system does not ensure that our students, as a first choice career option, look at areas like agriculture, food processing, agro-processing, fishing, we will not attain Vision 75. It is as simple as that. So an education system that continues to regurgitate and test memory, because this is what it is, a test of memory, is obsolete. An education system that encourages cooperation rather than competition, curiosity, creativity, problem solving, critical thinking is absolutely fundamental. It therefore means the need to revolutionize our education system is paramount. So what is the plan? The plan is our teachers are going to have to be trained. Our teachers are going to have to be trained. It is not right for us to continue what must be a centuries-old process of taking you straight out of TAMCC and sending you straight back into the classroom. With no training, oftentimes still very mature and not even sure of yourself, and having to deal with contentious children who themselves are probably suffering from the oppression of our current education system. From hot and overheating schools, to uncomfortable benches, to very little technology, to very little outdoor activity, we can go on and on. We stifle our children's creativity. By the time they exit secondary school, very few of them play music. Very few of them draw. Very few of them drum. Very few of them know anything about fashion. Very few of them sing. Very few of them dance. Very few of them can speak confidently publicly. Very few of them look you in the eye. Why? Because if I'm the teacher, you shut up when I say shut up. We don't engage in the conversation. We don't say to them, challenge us. We don't say to them, give me the different view. We say to them, I am a degree already, I am a thing already, so if you don't want to do what I tell you, well, that's your business. But that is not going to create the Grenadian citizen that we want. That is not going to create the Grenadian citizen that is confident, that is a problem solver, that is solutions oriented. Because that is how you are going to change and create a new society. So you have to appreciate that the world is flat. They know what's going on in America. They know what's going on in Dubai. They know what's going on in South Africa. They know. They know it faster, quicker, more efficient than you. By the time you figure out how to open your phone, they've circled the globe a couple times and back. So how do we leverage the technology to make sure our students are, one, protected, and two, use it to their advantage? It goes back to the training. It goes back to the education system. So we have to appreciate that the National Sustainable Development Plan has exceedingly detailed recommendations on how to tackle the challenges we face in our education system, starting with the training of our teachers. That's the starting point, because they essentially hold the reins to the future that we are going to create. But if they are not trained, how then are they going to train the future? So, Minister of Education, it's not your problem, it's our problem. It's society's problem. But it is not really the formal education system that's the true challenge. The true challenge is the informal education system, or values. Who are we? What does it mean to be Grenadian? We are celebrating 50 years of Grenadianness. What does that mean? And what will that mean in Vision 75? I suggest a couple of things. One, you have to know the history of Grenada. You have to appreciate that we are, to use the Bajan term, a cohabla pot, a mix-up, a kalaloo. That to a large extent, we've all come from somewhere else and we've ended up here. And we are descendants of people who've ended up here. So we are mixed up, but we are all human beings. So we have to know our history. And if you know the history, then you become a tolerant society. And you become tolerant because you recognize that when intolerance is left to prevail, we've gone down that route before, and the consequences are disastrous. Therefore, the need to teach Grenadian history and to face up to the darker parts of our history and to confront it, not run away from it, by ensuring that in our schools we talk about the history of Grenada, not in some romanticized Nina Pinta Santa Maria way, but in a real way. And that it is perhaps easier to start with the modern history of Grenada and go backwards. We are a nation state. When we became independent, we were the smallest nation in the world to have attained independence. I want us to get some context. Grenada is celebrating 50 years of independence. India only celebrated 75 years of independence, I think, last year. It made 25 years difference. There are 1 billion people plus. So from a perspective of scale, we still are one of the smallest independent nation states. That gives us identity. Think about it. That's why the Grenadians in New York are more patriotic than the Grenadians in Grenada. It gives them identity. And so that identity has to be protected and nourished and taught. So, civics. Why make a big deal over the independence? Because we are a free society. We are a society of choice. We are a society where the rule of law and individual liberty and freedom matters. That's not something to take for granted. So when we teach civics, when we teach our history, we are inculcating in future generations of Grenadians and current ones the fact that we hold a unique place in the world. So 25 years from now, the next generation of Grenadians should unhesitatingly understand that. And it is that identity and that Grenadianness that will determine the kind of society we have. Whether we become tolerant or intolerant. Whether we recognize the religious freedoms of others. Whether we respect the rule of law. Whether we continue to cherish our democratic institutions and strengthen them. Whether we continue to cherish gender equality. Those things matter. Whether we are going to have a planned society, a society that has a plan and says this is where we are trying to get to. Or whether we have a society that says anything goes. That is fundamental. And we have to teach our students those values. Conflict resolution. Respect for one another. Respect for the views of one another, especially the views that you do not like. So if our education system, informally, does not pay attention to those skills, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many certificates you get. Because you will not be able to cope. You will quickly find out the world doesn't care how many certificates you have. They would need to know whether you understand that you need to be punctual. Whether you understand that you need to work. Whether you understand that a workday means in most places in the world 7 or 8 hours a day, every day, for 5 or 6 days a week. Whether you understand that you need to solve the problems at work. Whether you understand you need to find solutions to those problems. If we create a value system and strengthen a value system that does that, then we begin to accomplish Vision 75. Because we will create confident citizens who understand that it doesn't matter how small they are. That when you are good, you're as great as Kirani James. When you are good, you are great as Miss World. When you are good, you are great as the governor. When you are good, you make people cry when Morris Bishop spoke. When you are good, they remember you forever, as we remember Sir Eric. So those values are just as important as our formal education. But we live in a world where technology drives everything. And with more technology, there's the need for more energy. So how do we get that energy currently? We get that energy from importing diesel, pure and simple. And it's called dirty fuel. And together with other dirty fuels, it has placed the world, and particularly our world, in a very perilous position. It is partly responsible for the climate change crisis that we face. So we have some rational or perhaps irrational decisions to make. Do we, as a small island, susceptible to sea level rises, devastating hurricanes, droughts, unpredictable rainfall, pests, disease, Sahara dust, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, do we continue to rely on the very thing that is contributing to the challenges we face? Do we continue to burn diesel to produce our electricity? Or do we make the perhaps at this stage still difficult and even more expensive choice to say it is time to wean ourselves off fossil fuels? We got the sunshine, we've got the wind, we've got the geothermal. How do we leverage those to ensure that with Vision 75, Grenada has a diversified energy source? Thankfully, the technology is improving every day when it comes to photovoltaic and solar energy, and we've got it in abundance. So as citizens of Grenada, we have to commit, the government has to commit, the private sector has to commit to ensuring that we transition into a diversified energy source. We have already begun. There's a geothermal project that is on the way. We are making significant strides to begin to ramp up investment in solar in particular. So it requires changes. It requires, to some extent, a revolutionary look at how we see energy. So it means we may be in for a little rocky period. When you have to wean an addict off a drug, they're going to get some withdrawal syndromes. But we have to stay the course. Because if we don't stay the course, we run the risk of getting left behind. And so investment in solar, wind, and geothermal must take place over the next 25 years. And whether that means, for example, diversifying energy production so that it's not monopolized as currently is with Grenlec, then so be it. But we must ensure that we wean ourselves of fossil fuels. And secondly, we have to find a way to make energy cheaper. It's as simple as that. The cost of energy is prohibitively expensive in Grenada. And with energy being high, you understand what happens. You have no money left after you pay your energy bill. The hotels complain, the light manufacturers complain, we can go on and on. But it's not just electricity that consumes the dirty fuels. We all rode here probably, each of us, most of us, in one car. Or an SUV, or pickup. Well, don't even talk about me. I have a lot of cars. All burning diesel or gas. Polluting, traffic congestion, and contributing to the lack of exercise. And you know what? We import all of that diesel and gasoline. So by the millions each year to power our beloved automobiles, which our roads can't handle, which our roads were not built for. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's called electric vehicles. It's called electric bikes. It's called electric scooters. And then there's the good old private 11. Your two legs. So we also have to transition into ensuring that we electrify our transportation system, But we can't do so if we are in fact burning diesel to produce the electricity. So again, there's an opportunity for us to move rapidly, not slowly, not waiting for someone to kick us out. For us on our own to decide that we will make a definitive, specific decision to end the importation of gasoline and diesel vehicles by a fixed date. And we've begun this process. We have removed all customs duties on electric and hybrid vehicles. So if I was you, and I had to buy any vehicle, I would buy an electric vehicle. Don't come asking for exemptions on gasoline and diesel vehicles. They will not be granted under this administration. There's a policy in place, you can buy an electric vehicle. In fact, someone gave me a pretty radical idea. He said, you know what? We drive right-hand vehicles here. Most of the world, the big countries, China, North America, Canada, they drive left-hand vehicles. You know, the assembly line for left-hand vehicles is a lot. So they produce more cars, the unit cost per car is cheaper. If you want a right-hand vehicle, the unit cost goes up because it's a smaller market. So why not just simply switch to left-hand vehicles? It gives you a cheaper vehicle, it gives you an electric vehicle. Do we have nostalgia for right-hand vehicles just because we've driven right-hand vehicles all our lives? Or do we make a rational decision and say, let's buy a cheaper electric vehicle, get a left-hand vehicle, and as of Independence 51, we all switch over to left-hand drive vehicles. Miami is closer than Japan. You can fly to Miami and get the parts a lot cheaper, a lot more readily available. I sound like I'm crazy? No, I say those things because you see, as a society, sometimes we simply chug along. You have challenges and you just chug along. And no one is stepping back a little and say, how do we actually address some of those things? Is there any actual particular advantage over a right-hand or left-hand drive vehicle? Okay. But if one is cheaper, there's definitely an advantage. I simply say this to say that as a society, we have to become a bit more deliberate with the public policy decisions that we need to make. And the energy sector is one such sector that provides us an opportunity now, not even in 20, 25 years from now, an opportunity now to make bold decisions that puts us, for once, ahead of the curve. Because I want you to understand the opportunity cost of this. At some point in time, Japan, China, Germany, the United Kingdom, they've already started. They've set the end date by which they will not produce combustible engines for vehicles. In some cases, as short as 5 years. So if they're not producing it, what's going to happen? Where are you going to get the parts for the combustible engine from? There's only so much the bamboo in Trinidad can provide. So it means we too have to plan. Or they will dump it on us. When you can't drive a combustible engine vehicle somewhere in Europe or Japan, they have to find a way to export it. If we do not have a forward-thinking policy, we regrettably become the dumping ground. And we would be stuck. We are too small. We simply don't have the capacity. And I think you can already see the impact of derelict vehicles on our environment. But I also want to make the further point. We don't need to become like America and buy big vehicles. We buy bigger and bigger vehicles. Our roads are small. Some cases they're a little treacherous. So the smaller the vehicle, especially if it's one that is using clean energy, the better for all of us. But I want to re-emphasize the point that you can get to most places in Grandlands or the south of the island walking. So, we have healthcare, we have agriculture, we've got education, we've got energy, and we have a society to build. The plan is there. I hope that going forward, we can, as a nation, go back to the National Sustainable Development Plan, reopen it, discuss it, cogitate upon it, debate upon it, and begin to implement the things that are in the plan. This administration is committed to doing so. We are committed to doing so irrespective of the fact that we didn't create the plan. Some of the colleagues in our administration may have had an input in the plan. But the fact remains that as a nation, we must have a compass to steer us. And that compass can't be charisma. It can't be my youthful looks. It can't be, I like one politician and I dislike another politician. And we have to start holding ourselves accountable before we can hold the politicians accountable. So there's an idea in the National Sustainable Development Plan that says the plan should become a law. In fact, the plan calls for that. The plan calls for the plan to be enacted into legislation and for there to be a monitoring committee to make sure that the plan is being implemented. At a lecture conversation with the Grenada Bar Association, someone asked me, how do you guard against politicians simply changing policy even when the policy is demonstrably good for the country? And I responded then, off the top of my head, we can perhaps legislate, set objectives or goals for our country. It doesn't mean laws can't change, but it certainly is harder to change the law than to change policy in a whimsical manner. So perhaps the time has come, as a nation, for us to, in fact, legislate and make into law the National Sustainable Development Plan or a Vision 75 plan, where at least we can agree on 4 or 5 big ticket items that as a nation we must work towards and achieve. And then perhaps we can begin to test and measure and hold our politicians accountable on the basis of that plan rather than on the basis of a silver tongue. So it's not my plan. It's our plan. I invite you to read the plan. I'm happy to share and continue the conversations with all sectors, from the Conference of Churches to the labor unions, to the chamber, to our students, our teachers, our partners, so that we can begin to truly chart a course for Grenada, for Vision 75, that says to the world, the same way we did 50 years ago, that we are prepared to go out on a limb. We are prepared to make a difference. We are prepared to create and curate a future in our own image, in our own likeness, as we continue to aspire, build, and as one people, so that 25 years from now, when we look back, we can definitely say that we went up, up, up. Thank you very much. Any questions? No.
Testing, 1, 2. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, he just asked if I need him to do anything. I think we want him to sing Up From Here.
We've had nice weather, and I have no intention of changing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the unveiling of our $50 commemorative note and Vision 75. This evening was a memorable one. I leave you with these thoughts. Our greatest asset is our people. You may have your seats, my people. We need to make bold decisions to push us ahead. G for Grenada, G for gold, and G for greatness. Let us envision the Grenada we want to see for the next 50 years and beyond. But let us go the distance together. This is our vision. Our goal is to transform Grenada. Healthcare, agriculture, education, energy, and we have a society to build. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you in a very special way for taking the time to be with us this evening. And at this point, I want you to give yourselves a lusty round of applause. I want to say special thanks to Governor Timothy Antwine. And at this time, I'd like to ask the Prime Minister again, since you've been going around the island pinning every boy and every girl, I want you to pin our governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. I know we have some pins lying around. Oh, a whole packet of pins are coming out. Don't let anybody see. And we want to thank our tech crew. And as we pin our governor, we'd like to hear the Up From Here song. Somebody better sing the song.
If we take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for.
Can I beg one more indulgence?
Sure.
Can I pin Mrs. Bishop?
Oh, definitely.
Yes. So.
Thank you.
You guys did a lot for us.
What is it for you? I think I've opened up a can of worms. But I want to pin one more person, a very special person, Dr. Didacus Jules, who has served. He's a St. Lucian, but he's a Grenadian.
So I would say, for those who don't have a pin, don't be greedy. If you don't have a pin, I have one pack left, and I'd be happy to give you a single pin. I can't pin everyone, so if you don't have one, all right? G, my pleasure.
King James, you're up next.
Where's the song? Where's the song?
And then we want to ask the Garys to make their way up to stage. All right, we heard you. You can sing the song.
If we take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. We're going higher, going higher.
Have a lovely evening, everybody.
Build advances, put people together. Bang, bang, bang. It's only up from it. Take time to reminisce on the richness of our history from the beginning, from the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank the Governor General, Dame Cecile Lagrenard, and let's recognize her as she makes her way out.
More than the ice cream and gold. Much more than the nutmeg and the clove. Tell the world we are Grenadians.
3 islands united as one, blessed with the strength to carry on. We're more than just that island in the sun. Tell the world we are Grenadians.
Higher. 50 years we blessed with force and fire. Oh, you mean? We going up, going up, going up, 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 going up, going up, going up, up, up. Aspire. Build advances, want people together. Going up, going up, going up, 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 going up, going up, 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 up.
Really and truly, can't find the words to describe what my country mean to me. So much things we take for granted, but so much things